What's up, my friends? Kris Krohn here, and this is your friendly reminder that the time to exit the stock market is right yesterday.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
Every year I pay $100,000 to be able to attend a very special economic summit. Several billionaires come out, special speakers. These economists, what they do is they give you their perspective on the economy. And the first thing I want you to understand is that none of these economists has it totally figured out. No one can really forecast exactly when the stock market's going to go bust. We know that roughly it's every 8 years, but right now we're 12, 18 months overdue. So even though they all have wildly different opinions on economics, they all had some level of general consensus that later on this year would likely be the next time of having the big stock market sell-off. And so while nobody knows for sure, what I wanted to do is bring you some updates to allow you to have a little bit of time to prep and plan, because this YouTube channel is in service of you and helping you make the most of your financial life. Now let's just talk for just a little bit about the stock market. Many of you know, if you've been watching this channel, that I'm not the biggest fan, because the stock market right now, even the S&P 500 alone averages about 9%, just under 10% on its 30-year average. And if you take a look at the 8-year cycle of the stock market, you're going to have a couple of really bad years, a couple of boring years, and a couple of exciting years. That's your 8-year trend. Right now, we are 10 years in from the last crash, and that's making a lot of people skittish. Now, one of the individuals that we had out there, his name is Harry Dent. He's a forecaster, and what he does is he follows trends and cycles. And in his opinion, where the stock market's at today, we saw at the end of this last quarter a dip in the market, and right now he's predicting September of 2020 might be the next big drop-off. No matter when you watch this video, what I want to do is educate you on just understanding cycles, because the only way you're going to win long-term in the stock market is if you know how to get in and stay in, and you're content with 9%. But if that is your core strategy and you're putting all of your money in the market and that's your way that you're going to get ahead, and by the way, 401k is stock market, an IRA is stock market, and putting money in the stock market is also stock market. Annuities are also stock market. In fact, in my experience, most people, their concept of investing is the stock market. And so from 401ks, IRAs, and S&Ps averaging 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9%, the problem is that at the rate that you save, you do the math, and it's not enough to get where you want to go. If a part of your portfolio you want to be making 5, 6, 7, 8%, awesome, diversify. But if it's your core dominant strategy, you're in big, big trouble. Most people never get around to learning how to do the real math of what it is that they really need for their financial retirement. So for example, let's just say that you said, you know what, at retirement, I would love to have $1 million. Let's talk about what's wrong with this figure. $1 million, if you wanted to put it into the stock market and you didn't want to eat any of the principal, let's say you annuitize it, and you wanted to kick out a pretty consistent 4% that you can live off of. 4% on $1 million, that's 40 grand a year. That's around $3,500 a month. Now you could take more than that, but you would be eating down the principal. So instead of growing your net worth, you're consuming your net worth. And that gets to be a dangerous game, because with modern day technology, you have no idea how long you're going to live. Right now, they've got science and technology out there. They've tested on animals. It's now in human trials, and they're now helping humans have a much higher quality of life, living far longer. Like they're projecting my generation could easily live to be 120, 130, 140, or 150 years old. That's crazy talk. But you know what's more scary than how scary that is the fact that you're going to need a lot more money than you actually think. So $1 million producing $3,500 a month, that's not a whole lot of money. So now you're like, well, shoot, if I want a basic 6-figure retirement, I need to have over $2 million. Now you get it, right? Putting money in 401ks and IRAs and letting it compound for 30 years, 40 years, it's not going to give you anything but a small fraction of what you really actually need. What does it mean? It means that instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, I know what you're thinking, but Kris, my 401k is different than my IRA. It's the stock market. As long as you keep all your money in the stock market, your only diversification is earning, frankly, 3, 5, 9%. Now, some of you are saying, but Kris, in the last 2 years, the market has climbed and made 20%. Yeah, but you're in the 30-year strategy, so you got to average it out. It's not 20%. If you wanted to make 20% consistently, you'd have to entertain the game of real estate investing, for example, a place where I've done thousands of deals and where I love to be. Or I'm in MLPs and other, alternative investments that in the end, sure, some are, T-bonds producing 3 and 4 and 5% here and there, but you have to have a part of your strategy that is dedicated towards high risk to get some high return. You're looking for asymmetric investments. Real estate has the potential to be that for you. Now, when the big sell-off comes in the stock market, guess what usually hits after? The real estate market. And that's what we are guessing is probably going to be happening. And when it does, guess what it means for you and I? It means that we can go into the marketplace, we can go play real estate land, and we can freaking crush it together. We can win. And that's where I made hundreds of millions of dollars for my clients when we were going into that last 2008 crash. And it's going to repeat itself because these are cycles. They're not things to be afraid of. The biggest enemy that we have is our emotional intelligence when it comes to playing the game financially intelligent. Purpose of today's video is to warn you. Now you've officially been warned about the market and the sell-off and the crash. The next thing is to reevaluate your portfolio on whether you've balanced it appropriately. And if you haven't, it's time to rebalance. And you know what that means? Start taking a chunk of that out and start putting it into a safer hard asset, something like real estate investing. And if you want to learn how to do that, you can check the link below. You can get a free copy of my book. I've written 5 books. This is my cute little tiny mini book. I wrote this one to be potent and quick so that you can take immediate action with the right strategy, knowing how to turn a very little into a whole lot. And so you can get that book. I've got all sorts of other free resources that you can learn or join me at some of my financial summits where me and my guest speakers will help get you set straight on a real path for retirement instead of a path that really only can serve a fraction of what your real needs are. I have to tell you that for me, my biggest motivation for being in this game in the beginning was my parents. Yes, I want to take care of my wife and my kids, but my parents had 9 kids. I'm number 4. Being right there in the middle, I knew someone was going to have to find a way to step up and care for them. And the greatest honor of my life for the last 9 years has been caring for my parents. It's been subsidizing all of their living, sending them on trips. Next week they're headed on a cruise, and being able to pay for all those things, be able to retire my dad, who is a really hard worker. That's really the big why behind all the wealth creation. And so if you have a big why, then make sure that you give yourself a game plan that isn't broken. Give yourself a game plan that has the realistic option or possibility of getting you where you want in life. You deserve it. You got this one life to live. So live it true to who you are. Thanks for watching. Grab a free copy of my book. If you're not a subscriber, fix that so you can get notifications on tomorrow's video.